Hello and welcome back to Closing Arguments. I'm Michael Ayala in for Vinnie Politan. Now, we know that Robert Durst is planning on taking the stand in his own defense this week, which would leave the door open for a rigorous cross-examination by the state where they could use his past comments to impeach him. So tonight we asked you, the 13th juror, will testifying help or hurt Robert Durst? And we begin with our comment of the day, and that is from Valerie, who says, "It's been so long, the jury will have a hard time trying to put this together with old evidence and witnesses no longer alive. I'm not sure if him testifying will help him. Then again, they might feel sympathy for him being sickly and frail and give him another acquittal." All right, I want to bring back in my think tank here. Eklund Mercy, criminal defense attorney, Nima Rahmani, former federal prosecutor, and Kirk Nurmi, a criminal defense attorney who represented Jodi Arias. Let me start with you, Nima. This is something that I've thought about, that perhaps a form of jury nullification could take place here. Prosecution's case took 37 days, numerous witnesses. We saw the actions of the prosecutor in this case coming off at times, perhaps overzealous is the word I will use. Could the jury decide, or one or two jurors decide, that this just isn't worth it, that perhaps they feel sorry for Durst and decide not to convict?
Michael, likability matters, both for the prosecutor, John Lewin, in this case. I think he's emotional because he's been living with this case for so many years. It's a cold case. Let's not forget, he famously and personally flew out to New Orleans to interview Bob Durst for 3 hours when he was arrested. That never happens. So I think it does matter, but that's why Lewin is trying to paint Durst as someone that doesn't play by the rules, someone that's a millionaire, but he still shoplifts. He still uses food stamps. Not really relevant to whether he's a murderer or not, but they're trying to dirty him up. And on the defense side, they're doing a great job of showing a frail old man with a catheter who has cancer that the jurors may feel sorry for. So you can see the strategies playing out in this courtroom just a few minutes away from me.
Kirk, there's been a little acrimony within the defense team. The defense team does not want him to take the stand, but clearly he wants to, so he will. Who's right in that equation? Has the prosecution done enough to get a conviction here such that if he didn't take the stand and all they put on was Elizabeth Loftus, would they or do they have a good chance of coming away with a not guilty verdict?
Well, Michael, respectfully, I don't know that it gets to right or wrong because the decision lies with the defendant. So it's only his decision. It can't be the wrong choice, right? I mean, he gets to testify. Now, it might be the hubris from the prior acquittal that he testified at that makes him want to testify. He may be being advised by his attorneys, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But the only right answer is his choice, and he wants to take the stand. And maybe there will be sympathy, like Neiman talked about, that maybe that'll expand the concept of reasonable doubt a little bit. Like you said, maybe this isn't worth it. So maybe he hopes to play on that. But either way, right or wrong, he's going forward, and this is certainly going to be compelling TV when this comes to fruition.
Yeah, and he didn't want to wear a mask, and we saw today that he was wearing a face shield, which could be his play because he wants to face that jury. He wants them to see him talking is what I'm thinking. All right, let's go to our next comment. It comes from @TheFactsOnlyPlease on Twitter, and they're saying tonight that he's a malignant narcissist and his attorneys can't control him. He will not help his case at this point. Nothing can help his case. All right, there's someone, Eklund, who believes that, he's in trouble, that the prosecution has done enough. And I can tell you from social media, it seems to be skewing the way that the prosecution has not done enough. So I would say, not that it's a difference, I would say maybe 60-40. People believe that the prosecution hasn't done enough. Where do you stand on that?
Mm-hmm. Well, first, if you're going to commit crimes, do not do documentaries because that piece of evidence will be used. So even if he doesn't, the thing is, he essentially already testified. The amount of video footage, the amount of testimony he's made beforehand, he's already testified through trial. The prosecution has scrutinized every word he's ever said since the beginning. So do I believe he should dismiss all the good, I'm 100 years old, don't send me to prison equity that he's been, garnering this whole trial? No. I think that they should leave it as is. I personally think that, cross-examination is going to be hard. Older people who believe they don't have much time get to be honorary on the stand. So you don't want that to happen. And again, what's the sentence going to be for the next 5 months of your life? Like, there's a lot of things that the jury's going to try to consider. But one thing that the defense is hanging their hat on is, would they want their grandfather to go to jail, great grandpa to go to jail, essentially?
Nima, one of the things that Vinnie Politan likes to say is, hey, strap put on your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride. If he takes the stand, I can tell you, put on your seatbelts, because it's going to be a roller coaster dealing with Lewin and his encyclopedic knowledge of this case. I mean, we have statements to police. We have commentaries on movies. We have things he said to other people. I mean, just voluminous statements made by this particular defendant that's going to be used to cross-examine him and impeach him, any word he says on the stand. I mean, what are your thoughts on him taking the stand? Does Lewin have to be careful, or is he going to go full bore and not worry about what it looks like, the optics of this old man being on the stand trying to deal with him?
I think Lewin will be more careful with Bob Durst because he was a lot nicer when he interviewed him. And we know 100% that he's going to testify, because both in the opening before the pandemic, his defense team said he will. And then in the reopening 14 months later, the defense said the same thing. So they've represented that to the jury. The last thing you want to do is, promise something like that and not deliver. And in all the mistrial motions based on physical incapacity, they've said the reason that a mistrial is appropriate is because our client intends on taking the stand. So there's no question that that's going to happen. It's going to happen as early as tomorrow. And you nailed it. I mean, here's someone which you rarely see. He's given extensive interviews to journalists, to people that are making documentaries, producers, to the district attorney in the case. And, it's worked once before. And I'm sure, like Kirk said, Bob Durst thinks he can pull it off again. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think the cross-examination of Dr. Loftus is just a preview and just a warm-up for Lewin. It's going to be, he was going after her with all the different things she said at different trials. Wait till he gets Durst on the stand. All right, let's go to our last comment of the night. Lisa commented tonight saying that Robert Durst has a better chance of getting an acquittal by taking the stand than just sitting in his wheelchair. When that prosecutor comes out at him, he's going to look more like the villain than Durst. And that's what we just commented on, Kirk, the idea that if Lewin is too aggressive with this defendant, that could work against him.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. You can always go too far. And particularly, just think about the visual of Durst up there, feeble old man. He's got a catheter. He's basically, like Eklund kind of said, he's on his deathbed. And this young man is going to come across aggressive to him. He's probably going to have stronger feelings like he has license to go against him more than he did against Miss Loftus. And that could create a real problem, this real dichotomy, this, oh my God, the jury's going to think, here we go again. This guy's trying too hard to prove his case. Maybe that's because he doesn't really have one. And that could be the dilemma for the prosecutor, going so far, so hard against somebody, particularly in the health condition Mr. Durst is in presently.
All right, think tank, stand by. We are expecting Robert Durst to take the stand tomorrow at some point. There's a continued cross-examination and perhaps redirect examination of Dr. Loftus. But then we expect the only other witness for the defense to be Robert Durst himself. The defense team has verified that to our producer out there. So it will happen, and it should happen tomorrow. So be right here on Court TV. Coming